Back with you at Virginia International Raceway for the Biscuitville 125. Pace laps have started for this field of 18 cars who will take the green here this afternoon on a gorgeous afternoon in South Central Virginia. This is a fast, technical, tricky road course, Frank.
Yeah, this is not your typical road course. These guys think that they just came from Watkins Glen and they think, oh, we've got it all figured out. Guess what? 14 turns on this road course right here, and elevation changes dramatic from the front to the back at this road course. Plus, when you come down the front straightaway here, 160 miles an hour as they enter a hard right-hand turn in turn one.
They're going to have a lot to work with the shifting and the braking, and Derek Perniciglio has someone else that we need to keep an eye on this afternoon.
You know, our Who to Watch driver this week is our point leader, William Byron. In the last couple of weeks, Scott Heckert, his teammate in that number 34 car, has been able to chip away at his point lead. There's only 12 points separating first and second right now. And when we talked to William Byron earlier in the day today, I said, what do you have to do to keep Scott Heckert behind you, especially at a track where he's so good at here today? And his response was simple: I just have to keep up with him.
That may be hard to do.
That wouldn't be what my strategy going in if I'm William Byron. Listen, he doesn't need to worry about Scott Heckert. Scott Heckert has shown all year that he's been a master on these road courses. He needs to worry about staying on course today.
You see William Byron qualified inside row 4. Scott Heckert, of course, up there on the pole. Good run for Dalton Sargent and Kaz Gralla in row 3. Dale Quarterly in the 32 outside row 5, rejoining the series this weekend.
Don't count out the youngster, Sergio Pena. He's in row 7. He's won 3 K&N East races previously. And young David Garbo Jr. in the Wheeling car out of Connecticut has a great opportunity.
And as for Pena, it's the second race in a row that he is subbing for Jay Beasley in that 42 car. Jay telling us that he's got some inner ear problems and some asthma issues that are keeping him out of that car. Doesn't expect to be long term, but for now, Sergio Pena is piloting that 42 car.
You know, I'm a little interested on the 15 to see how he takes off here in this race early, because he hasn't really been great on the road courses. His best finish was a 10th at Watkins Glen, but they did have 8-minute sessions here to qualify here this weekend, so they had extra time out there on the track, and he had a great job on the outside pole.
And the jump goes to Scott Heckert, the pole sitter. You see Frank Scott from nearby Danville, Virginia, waving the green, and Heckert has got the advantage as they head down to turn 1, but here comes Nick Drake. He's not giving it up.
And heavy braking right here. This is the crucial corner right here on the racetrack. 160 miles an hour down to about 40 or 50 miles an hour going through that corner.
And they'll get that speed up on the second lap, right? Because obviously coming to green, they didn't have all that momentum. The second lap ought to be fantastic.
They're going to use a little more brake on the second one.
Yeah, absolutely. Single file now stretching out. Scott Heckert again with the very technical line, working his qualifying magic again, put his car on the pole. That blue and orange number 34. Nick Drake in the 15 trying to chase him down.
And this is up the back straightaway. There's a little bit of an S turn up through here. And then at the end of this Nissan bridge right here, you see, Dave, they're going to take a hard right-hand turn and go directly up a hill.
So does this track, Frank, play out more right-handish or more left-handish total?
More right-handish, yes.
Okay, you see J.J. Haley in the 5 there, trying to get by Austin Hill in the 22, and they get back single file before it narrows down.
And some serious S's again up this little short chute, and then you're going to go up here and go down the hill. So all that elevation change that you just went up on the other side, you've got to go back down to get down to the front straightaway.
This corner looks a bit tricky. I believe that's turn 10 where it gets a little bit off camber and makes it tough for the drivers as well. Now they bend back left, and Heckert still has the advantage. You see the field filing through. There's J.J. Haley, finished 3rd at Watkins Glen, has got his road course racing in a good place this year. Has been doing some Trans Am racing as well.
And now you're seeing the speed that they didn't have, as you said at the start, but they've got it right here now. Look at the speed these guys are carrying down this front straightaway.
Cars look great, don't they? But they are flying hard on the brakes. Heckert, no smoking of the tires, smoothly down into turn number 1.
Everybody's done a nice job on lap 2 here. Nick Drake just holding his line on the bottom.
Well, let's think about it, Frank. 55 laps around here. How conscious do K&N Pro Series drivers have to be about taking care of their stuff?
Very much so this week, Dave. A little bit different rule here this weekend. We are going to have close to a halfway break. Somewhere around the halfway point of the race, NASCAR is going to throw a competition caution. But they can come down and make adjustments, but they cannot put on tires this week. Now, at some oval tracks, you know that we have the halfway break. We are allowed to put on tires, but because the tire is so good this weekend on this race course and doesn't wear out, NASCAR, to save the team's money, has elected to not allow them to change it, and that will be pivotal late in this race.
Second place to Austin Hill. He gets by Nick Drake. Drake now falling back to 3rd. That was a nice pass.
Great pass, and a great place to pass right there, because as you go up that hill and you're trying to turn to the right, the speed is kind of carrying you a little bit left right there. Same thing with this downhill corner you talked about in the opening lap here. This is a very, very difficult corner. You see a lot of cars slide off the race course right there from overdriving a little bit, especially sometimes when they start to look in their mirror and see somebody behind them at the last second. They realize if you miss that corner by 5 or 6 feet, you go off.
And that issue of wheel hopping, Frank, describe it for the viewer and then how it's worsened when they're going downhill.
Yeah, honestly, it's not as bad here because of the fact that you're really doing your braking before you get into that corner right there, and you're really kind of just, it's a gradual. The places where it's really, really dramatic is when you're driving straight into a corner, you're trying to get all your shifting done and your braking done at the same time, and sometimes when you don't get those two things done in a proper sequence, you'll end up wheel hopping it.
Nice move by Kaz Grala in the 3 car. He puts it into 4th around J.J. Haley.
Kaz Grala has been looking forward to this race ever since Watkins Glen. He finished 5th at Watkins Glen, so another opportunity here for him to gain some points.
And Grala's known as a pretty aggressive driver, Frank. Does this track reward aggression, or how cautious does he have to be?
I think this track does reward aggression because there's so many places to pass and so many places that you can get aggressive, so it'd be his benefit to be aggressive here.
Working lap 3 of 55 this afternoon. The leader is still the pole sitter, Scott Heckert, and now Grala moves into the back bumper of the 15 car of Nick Drake.
And Nick Drake, again, you know, this is his first time really running up here in the top 3 or 4, so it'd be interesting to see how this goes for the rest of the day.
Derek has more on the 15.
Nick Drake's running in the top 5 right now out there on the track. He is in the top 10 in points. We were watching him out there a few minutes ago. We saw a little bit of smoke coming out of the wheels. Thought there might have been a brake problem with the car. We checked with crew chief Dave McCarty. He said the car's fine. Nick came over the radio, said there's nothing wrong. He may have slid the front end a little bit, and that's probably what the cause of that smoke was.
Yeah, that's a great report there, Derek. I think that Nick is just trying to do his best to just make sure that he learns a little bit here early on, that he takes care of his tires. Again, he doesn't have the experience on a road course of running in the top 3 or 4, so he doesn't know how hard to push it. And you see him right here locking the right front tire up a little bit. So he's got to be cautious about that too, because if you flat spot that a lot, and now you can't put a tire on there, that's going to pay off. That's going to be detrimental late in the race.
And Grala looked really good getting into that high-speed corner on the brakes. No smoke from his tires, and he now pulls up to the back bumper of Austin Hill running in 2nd.
Well, you made the call there, Dave. I mean, you can see how aggressive he is.
Early on, Kaz Grala going to the front, but at the front, it's still Scott Heckert who leads here in the Biscuitville 125 from VIR. We're back with you at Virginia International Raceway, the Biscuitville 125. Dave Burns, Frank Stoddard, and Derek Pernissiglio enjoying today's action in the K&N Pro Series East. And so far, it's been all Scott Heckert. Now, this championship is won over the course of 14 races. And from nearly the beginning, the 9 car of William Byron has been the championship leader. But while we were away at break, Byron had some problems on the track. And Frank, as we know, the road courses can be a place where you can lose a lot of points in a hurry if you get off course.
Well, Dave, we talked about it in the opening, an important weekend for William Byron, and here's the replay here. What happens is Rico Abreu has actually spun in front of him off the course. I think that kind of worries him a little bit. He gets off, his left rear tire gets off in the dirt. He spins out. Luckily, doesn't hit anything right here.
And still is running in 5th place, so no real harm right now. But you got to be conscious of that. That's the kind of thing that can happen.
It's the kind of thing that he has got to avoid happening. Now, one luxury he's got here is VIR does have a great deal of runoff. So you saw 2 cars that are spun out right there, and neither one of them have any damage. So it's a great road course to spin out and be able to keep going. But generally, if that happens late in the race and he gets off course enough where he loses 5, 6, 7 spots, that could be detrimental in the points.
Here's a driver having a great run. Kaz Grala in that 3 car has looked very smooth so far. Dalton Sargent in the 51 is now pursuing him, getting ever closer. And as he closes in, let's go down to Derek Pernissiglio, who's got more on this story.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, guys. Kaz Grala's got a pretty good run going. He started 6th at the drop of the green, and his last 3 races, he's picked up some momentum. He's finished 7th, 15th, and 7th. Sure, he's an oval track specialist, but he's done a lot of road course racing in legend car competition in the infield at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, so he likes road course racing.
Have you ever run some cars in the infield there, Frank, on the road course?
I have.
And a good place to learn your rhythm and learn the basics of what they're doing here.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're slipping and sliding a lot on that course.
So Kaz Grala running in the 3 car in 3rd. Dalton Sargent pursuing him. One of the best battles on the track right now. And Sargent has raced here before, so he's got some experience on this track. but it's always different when you go into a different type of car on a certain track, isn't it, Frank?
Well, it is difficult. I mean, you know, trying to get the horsepower down, the braking is different. I mean, anytime you run, you know, in a different series, everything about the car is different. And these stock cars, K&N East cars, are heavier than most cars that you're going to run. I mean, other than going up to Sprint Cup, they're the heaviest car probably that you'd run in the country.
We're coming near the halfway break, and we've talked about the fact that they'll get to stop for adjustments and for fuel, but they won't be able to change tires. So now, halfway through this event, Frank, starting to wear a little bit on the tires and the brakes, too, if they haven't taken care of them.
Well, we've been watching a lot of these guys, though. You know, it's just been a lot of single-file racing here. People have just been worrying about hitting their marks around the course and making sure they don't break the transmission. You know, even Austin Hill, he's come up there and caught Scott Heckert, but he's kept himself about 6, 7, 8 car lengths back, and doesn't seem like, from us watching, it hasn't been able to put any pressure on.
Devin Amos is off track.
Right there.
Yeah, that's the 6-car of Amos, and taking a shortcut because quickest way to get back on.
But just what I said, look at it again. There's another car off the course here. Hasn't got any damage, didn't hit anything, just lost some spots.
So Amos doesn't appear to have any trouble with his car. Scott off course, he's shaking it around. Oh, yes, he does. Left front is bad on it. Big problems. So Devin Amos is going to have to bring that car to the pits.
He looks like maybe a tie rod or something. It's hard to say what. Bent wheel, something is bad wrong with the left front.
And that'll cause your turn in to be a little bit different, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Scott Heckert continues to lead. He's led for 25 of the 28 laps today and has looked strong so far after sitting on the pole. Derek.
With only 2 races left in the fight for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East Championship, Scott Heckert and his crew aren't leaving anything to chance. And look at this crash cart. They've got everything here that they need. They've got truck arms up here. They've got hoses in case they need to do some brake cooling. They've got brake lines here as well. They've got a whole rear end housing with the hubs that are right attached to it. They've got a porta power here in case they need to bend out any bars that may need to be fixed during the course of a pit stop. Lower control arms. They've got rear end grease. They haven't ruled anything out as they have come loaded for bear in their title fight here today at VIR.
But Derek, that's a great point. I mean, you've got to, right, Frank? If you're trying to win a championship, you got to be ready.
Absolutely, and they're obviously loaded for bear on the race course because he's dominated the early part of this race here. You know, basically led every lap.
12 points separating the 34 driver Scott Heckert from championship leading William Byron coming into today's race. Byron runs 5th. Heckert is the leader.
This is an important race for Scott Heckert because he's been beating William Byron the last few races. I mean, in the last race at Motordrome Speedway, he actually beat him by 4 spots on the racetrack, 4th to 8th. But he only picked up 2 points on him, Dave, because William Byron led the most laps in that race and got a point for leading. So he got 2 bonus points that Scott Heckert did not get. So today, Scott Heckert is out there maximizing the points. Right now, he's got a great opportunity to lead the most laps for the day. And obviously he's led a lap, so if he can keep William Byron out, there's 2 extra points that he can get back on him.
I like looking at the races that Heckert has won. He's won on the road course at Watkins Glen, and he's won at Bowman Gray, which is basically an obstacle course.
Which is crazy.
3rd place battle here. Kaz Grala in the 3 continues to hold off Dalton Sargent. They kind of know, Frank, they're getting toward the halfway point, so not a lot of reason to push right here.
No, not really. I mean, you know, Dalton Sargent has run a lot of road courses. He ran Sonoma. We got Christian Salaya off the course right here in the 09.
He must have just maybe blown that corner, turns it around, heads it back the wrong direction to get it headed the right direction.
And back on course he goes.
Hopefully not right in front of somebody, and no, he's good to go right there. So driver from Mexico gets it righted, and you see that the lead has tightened up dramatically. Austin Hill is making a little bit of a push before the halfway point here, and there's that caution that we've been talking about. That's the halfway break at this course, and oftentimes I'm told by the series director just to let the guys collect their thoughts a little bit.
I'll tell you what, at Bowman Gray Stadium, you need a lot more than a halfway break. Here at VIR, at least they're scattered out enough to where, you know, there really hasn't been a lot of tension here amongst the guys just yet.
We'll see if that changes in the second half. The break is here. Your leader is still Scott Heckert. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, or a nice lake nearby VIR. The Biscuitville 125 has been led most of the way by Scott Heckert, the pole sitter in that 34 car. Championship leader William Byron, he had some trouble, but he got his car righted and is still in contention for a good finish. This happened while we were away. We had the halfway break, we had a restart, and Rico Abreu got off track and off into the grass. Now that was a big bonus for the 22 of Austin Hill, who when we went to break was at the front of the field. He had an off and went to the back. The caution for Abreu has brought the field together, and 22 of Austin Hill will restart 13th. Scott Heckert is a control car in the 34, and he gets the green with Dalton Sargent battling him down into turn 1.
3 and 4 wide back there. There's Austin Hill back there and making a move on the bottom already.
Trying to already. J.J. Haley in that 5 car alone in 3rd. Dale Quarterly in the yellow and white 32. He comes through in 5th.
They had Kaz Gralla 3 wide right there and knocked him off the course.
A lot of contact now, as now, second half of the race, we're getting down to it. What will these drivers do to take home the trophy today at VIR?
Look at the change here we've got at the front here. Dalton Sargent to 2nd, Dale Quarterly in 4th, David Garbo Jr. up to 5th.
And you know Austin Hill in that orange and white 22, he's anxious to get back to the front.
And there's Kaz Gralla that was just off the course as well. So both these guys are going to charge. I mean, these guys were in the top 2 and 3 before the halfway break, and now they're at the back of the field.
Dalton Sargent through to the lead. Will he get the crossover from Heckert? Heckert tries to get it back. 51, Sargent with the advantage.
Wow, is this 2 to go?
Yeah, it sure looks like it. We're only on 39 of 55, but Dalton Sargent has asserted himself over his teammate, and he takes the lead.
Yeah, a shout out to Dale Quarterly back there. That road race, his big background is road racing, AMA motorcycle road racing before, and then he's won a lot of K&N East races.
Welcoming him back to the series. It's been a while since we've seen him, and nice to have the 32 of Quarterly back in the field today. Well, that was a bold move by Sargent. He leads. Heckert's now chasing him. We go to Derek Perniciglio.
Your new leader is the 51 of Dalton Sargent out of Boca Raton, Florida. He's a road course specialist. He spent a lot of time over in Europe trying to make his way up into F1 until he went the stock car route. And his first win in a stock car of any type came right here at the Virginia International Raceway. Last year, he won a Southeast Limited late model event here, so that got him ready for coming to this race.
Here's why I'm not surprised that the 51 of Dalton Sargent is in the lead right here, right now today. Because he went to Sonoma this year. They went out there, they ran the K&N West race to get him extra seat time. And this racetrack, although it's very fast down the front straight at 160 miles an hour, we talked about earlier, it is a very slippery racetrack to get a hold of, a lot like Sonoma. Watkins Glen, they just ran on, is a high grip, what we call a high grip racetrack on the Sprint Cup Series. Sonoma is absolutely the opposite. You're always worrying about forward bite getting off these corners, and that's the only way you can get away from somebody. And you look at this racetrack right here, it's forward grip. It's a lot of slow corners. There's the one big straightaway, but you need really good drive off the corner. So I'm not at all surprised that the 51 has been able to track down Scott Heckert here today.
So Derek's point, well taken. Experience on this racetrack. Your point, Frank, experience this year already in a K&N car on a very similar Sonoma Raceway. But now, I got to believe Scott Heckert, whoa, who gets off the track right there, has been watching his teammate lock those brakes up and almost miss a couple corners.
Yeah, hey, listen, Scott Heckert is a heck of a road racer. So honestly, I think with 15 laps to go, he's still being very patient. He's actually watching Dalton Sargent and realizing that Dalton Sargent's probably just going to make a mistake on his own. He won't even have to go back by him.
Oh, locking up the fronts there as Heckert, as Haley tries to move in. Heckert definitely got the corner, but at what expense to those tires?
Isn't turn 1 a lot of fun right there? You're going so fast, and there's really not any visual, the way the racetrack is right there, there's not a lot of visual pickups that you can use to figure out when to slow the car down.
Right.
So you're seeing a lot of guys where they make a mistake getting in turn 1 because they're missing where they need to brake because there's just no visual thing to pick up.
They need a tree or a TV tower or something, right?
Or somebody to hit them on the head, you know.
We have a shift now, brake now.
Big hammer comes off the dash, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the top 3 are all teammates running at the front of the pack here. 18 cars were entered for the race this weekend. Top 3 right now, H. Scott Motorsports with Justin Marks entries, and behind them in 4th, the veteran Dale Quarterly.
J.J. Haley in 3rd and Dalton Sargent, they need to be a little careful right here because Scott Heckert is in 2nd, and he's going to, as teammates, he's going to stop helping these two if they both end up going by him.
Well, we've seen at least the 51 of Sargent really smoking those tires. Haley has been pretty smooth, but the 34 of Heckert right there between them, licking his chops. He wants that lead back. He had it before. Let's see if he can get it when we come back to VIR. Back at Virginia International Raceway, the 12th of 14 races in the 2015 K&N Pro Series East Championship, and it's been a good one so far. Teammates running up front, Scott Heckert leading the majority of the way, but in the back of the pack, there's been some great racing as well. Now, when we left, Dale Quarterly was up front, but had a little trouble off track and now finds his yellow and white 32 back in the pack.
Yeah, some of these guys now are hoping for a caution because the only way you're going to make up ground, this much ground to the leader is with a caution flag. When you get off course here, you just lose too much time.
The leader continues to be Dalton Sargent. Scott Heckert pursuing him. J.J. Haley runs in third. New fourth-place player now. William Byron, the championship leader, has moved back up in.
And Austin Hill, we talked about him after the halfway break. He was dead last in the field. He's already back up into the top 5. So both have done a nice job getting back up through this traffic.
So close, but no contact between the front two. And Heckert is there. Man, he's pressuring Dalton Sargent right now.
Yeah, he seems like a little more impatient right here, wanting to go ahead and get the lead, but still 10 to go, so plenty of time here.
2.25-mile road course, so that's the distance they've got to cover to get down to the end of the 55-lap event here this afternoon. Sargent locks it up, and he's off course, and Heckert inherits the lead. Dalton Sargent loses the lead after overcooking it into that turn.
There's the mistake that Scott Heckert we talked about that he was just waiting for, and you just mentioned that he was putting a little bit more pressure on Dalton Sargent. Dalton Sargent looking in his mirror a little bit too much, and all of a sudden he just misses his entry mark.
That moves J.J. Haley to second, and there's the battle for the lead and the win here at VIR.
Now you got to know Scott Heckert does not want he's not wanting another teammate to go by him here today.
That's exactly right. But Haley's putting the pressure on, and man, he's got that 5 car right up on the rear bumper of the 34.
That young man has been impressive all year long. He just continues to get top 5 after top 5 finish here. Braun Ability's on that car this weekend. Todd Braun, the owner of that team, and what a remarkable job on the outside.
The high schooler tries to put the 5 car in against the 34 of Heckert. He can't quite do it on that turn, but smartly settles in.
No, they both do a nice job. Neither one of them lock up the tires right there. I mean, very aggressive getting into that corner, but they both come through on the line that they wanted to come off the corner.
What a great battle for the lead now. Heckert has it back. Dalton Sargent, he's not in the picture, but recovered and continues to run in that 51 car, but slid off track, handing the lead back to Heckert, who's led most of the event here this afternoon.
I think it was a break for J.J. Haley. That Dalton Sargent had the lead, was kind of holding Scott Heckert up a little bit. Scott Heckert decided to be patient, and J.J. Haley's been able to watch Scott Heckert a lot around this racetrack, and now he's trying to actually put the move on him.
Where does he make his move, or does it cause Heckert to make the same mistake Sargent did? He doesn't. Heckert safely through, and Haley still pursuing. Up through the curvy portion here, a hard left-hander here. Where do you think Haley makes his move, Frank?
The best opportunity is the front straightaway going down into turn 1 there. I mean, if you've got to get a good run off of turn 14 and head down that straightaway and get a little bit of a run, you can outbrake him getting into turn 1.
They're coming to that point now. Man, Heckert has a mirror full of his teammate Haley. He's showing him he's right there, ready to pounce if he gets the opportunity.
Anytime you're on a road course, the best opportunity to pass generally is the highest braking place on the racetrack. And you see Haley right here.
Great exit.
Great. He's getting a heck of a run down here. He may clear him before he gets to turn 1.
What a move by J.J. Haley. Came off of that corner, storming past his teammate, and J.J. Haley moved to the lead, but he's got the inside left open, and Heckert handles it.
He needed to have closed the door on him. He had the spot. He should have. His spotter probably didn't tell him he was clear, or he was scared to go down. But
or he knew
anyway.
something. Yeah, I was going to say, or he knew something we didn't know, Frank. J.J. Haley keeps the 5 in the lead. Look at him lift that left front off as he goes through the left-handers.
Scott Heckert, I promise you, he is done helping his teammates.
Got passed by Sargent earlier, gets passed by Haley now. The 5 of J.J. Haley is in command here at lap 47 at Virginia International.
You'd think J.J. Haley had a communication with us or something. He did exactly what we talked about right there. I mean, what a great pass. It was all set up by how he got off turn 14 and down that long front straightaway.
So the teammates are running 1, 2, 3 again, but not the same order that we've seen all day. J.J. Haley from Winamac, Indiana has the lead now, and he's putting some distance on his teammates.
Yeah, and Dalton Sargent is moving back in. He's closing back up on Scott Heckert, so he's not out of this battle yet.
So you see the 6 through 10 there, Kaz Grala, Sergio Pena, they're still in contention, but They need something to bunch up this field, and we'll see if that can happen later in this race. Haley hopes it doesn't happen as he slides the 5-car through this road course.
The crew chief and the spotter to Scott Heckert right now need to be calming him down, letting him know, just make sure you don't overdrive the race car. I think right now he is a little bit frazzled. He's overdriving the race car, and J.J. Haley's hitting his marks and being able to drive away. If Scott Heckert hits his line that he wants to hit lap after lap and doesn't overdrive it, he will run J.J. Haley back down.
Oh, and he may have just done the opposite of what you said he needed to do. He's off track.
Dave, it's hard to make out whether he's got a right rear tire on the car right there or not. I don't think he does. I'm not sure whether he's lost a hub or just lost a wheel completely, but I don't see a tire on there.
This is right before pit road, so he's going to cut across the track and get down there, but yeah.
Look at the sparks coming off the bottom. There's no right rear tire on that car right there.
Oh, my goodness. Scott Heckert, who led the majority of the race this afternoon, had been challenged by his teammates, and now it appears his car itself is challenging him as it's lost the right rear wheel. He brings it to pit lane.
Oh, this is an unbelievable disappointment for Scott Heckert and this entire team. The caution's out now. There's got to be debris on the racetrack. I don't know whether he'd get into a wall or just a hub broke, tire, I mean, a wheel broke. Something has gone wrong drastically on the right rear. And we got another car, Kenzie Ruston.
Yeah, she's in the tire barrier.
Deep into the tire barrier.
Wow.
Boy, you've got to drive awful far off the course to get into a tire barrier that deep.
So Kenzie's 4-car sits resting against the tire barriers, and that's the reason for the caution.
Boy, she did not need this. You know, she's having a great run today. She was running 9th at the time that she went off the course here, and she's right on the edge. She's top 10 in the points overall. So, you know, with 3 races to go, you know, you want to finish the season strong.
So the reason for the caution is Kenzie Ruston. Scott Heckert had a mechanical issue, and Derek Pernasiglio's caught up with him.
Well, Scott Heckert parks the number 34 in his pit area. There's a lot of right rear damage to the car. Did it give you any indication it was starting to break up?
Yeah, I knew it was going to break. Just bouncing over these curbs and, you know, giving it all I had. They were catching Dalton really, I think, broke it in the end. I felt it kind of give over one curb, and then all of a sudden the back end started moving around, and then it got worse and worse and worse until it finally snapped over there. Just, I really hate it for these guys. It was a killer fast car. I think we were going to get the 51 back, and yeah, it was a great car, and it's a bummer.
Well, you can see the frustration in his face. You can hear the frustration in his voice. Scott Heckert is unfortunately done for the day, guys.
Oh, Derek, thanks. And how disappointing for Scott Heckert. How disappointing for Kenzie. She's safely out of the car, which is great to see. But Scott Heckert had 12 points to catch William Byron coming into today, Frank. It doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No, he's not going to close the deficit for sure today.
This caution, though, has brought the field back to J.J. Haley with just a few laps remaining here at VIR. Will it be able to hold him off? Down to the final moments at Virginia International Raceway, and you see Austin Hill is the leader in the 22. J.J. Haley had led the field back to green with 5 to go, but got off track right here after he had been passed by Hill. Little contact maybe from his teammate Sargent, and the debris from Haley's car brought out the caution, which brings us back to this restart, which is our first attempt at a green-white-checkered, Frank.
Yeah, and guess what? The 22 made it all the way back from the back of the field after going off course earlier, and he's back at the front, going to control the start here into turn 1.
Austin Hill steps on the gas in the orange and white 22, and he's got the lead as they head to turn 1. So they start fanning out behind him, Frank.
Boy, and they're going to run awful deep into this corner. Got to be awful careful here not to knock somebody off the course.
Oh, locking up the brakes, and Hill gets on the curb. He's into Sargent. Sargent is off. Casgrala is off, and Austin Hill retains the lead. Wow, contact and action in the first turn, and look at the 42 of Sergio Pena. He's up into second, and Brandon Godovic is off track. What a restart. That was crazy.
William Byron all the way to 3rd now. The points are even looking better for him.
There's Haley. He's working his way back through, but he gets into Gralla. Gralla saves it, and the 2 of Colin Cabry tries to take advantage.
Oh, the gloves are taken off on these guys right now. 2 to go. It's no holes barred.
Wow, Austin Hill continues to lead. 2 laps remaining. He has the point, but look at that 42 of Sergio Pena. He is trying to track him down. William Byron in the blue and white 9 in 3rd.
Austin Hill's just got to be careful here. Make sure he hits his line, doesn't overdrive the corner. Don't look in your mirror. Just look out front.
And hopes nobody else causes a caution and brings these guys back up to him. There's David Garbo Jr. in the 31. He runs 4th. Great recovery for him.
And Dale Quarterly shows 10th on the screen, but because they haven't come all the way back to start-finish line, he's all the way back up to 5th.
That yellow and white 32 that had run strong earlier is back up in the top 5. And there is the caution that Austin Hill did not want to see, Frank.
Oh, absolutely not. You know, and the biggest reason is going to be Dalton Sargent is probably going to get his spot back. Austin Hill ran him off the course going down in turn one. We all watched that. Overdrove the corner, just moved the 51 off. The 51 did not. Here it is right here. Here's a replay of it. Look at him. The Austin Hill locks up that inside, but he's just giving way too much speed, and he uses the old theory of 8 tires are better than 4. And slides Dalton Sargent off into the grass, and off he's going to go, possibly to victory. But now, because of the scoring loops, there's only one at the start-finish line. NASCAR is actually going to put Dalton Sargent back up here on the outside of the front row against Austin Hill. He's going to get to redo this whole thing into turn one all over again.
And they penalized the 12 car of Brandon Godovic a lap for intentionally bringing out the caution. Well, this is a second attempt at a green-white-checkered finish, and again, the control car is at 22 of Austin Hill. He got a great restart last time, Frank, but again, there's that turn one, fastest part of the course, and we've already seen him locking him up already.
Well, and if you're Dalton Sargent here, you've got to be really smart here. You know Austin Hill's going to drive it down in there and use you up if you go on the outside of him. So I believe that he ought to just back off a little bit and try to get him behind him if he can. But obviously, William Byron is on the inside, pushing the 22 too.
And a little bit of damage on that 51 car of Sargent, but he gets in the gas well. They are side by side heading down to turn one, 160 miles per hour. Here comes Kaz Grala.
This may not turn out well.
Oh, on the inside again, and Sargent goes wide. Austin Hill keeps the lead.
Austin Hill used the bumper again to move the 51. Not quite as bad as the last time. Dalton Sargent is able to hang on to second.
51 car of Sargent and the number 9 of William Byron runs second and third. Kaz Grala gets inside of Byron. He'll take over third. Oh, and contact behind him.
Sergio Pena got into Kaz Grala, put him off the course.
Totally off the course, but Kaz comes back across.
William Byron, oh no.
Damage to the championship leader right into Byron. Dale Quarterly trying to get by, but the 9 car is wounded.
Boy, Dale Quarterly, William Byron's lucky that Dale didn't go ahead and spin him off the course right there. He gave him a break.
Wow. Oh, and this is back up front. Austin Hill now with a big challenge from Dalton Sargent.
Austin Hill needs to drive it like he stole it right here. You know the old adage? Because that 51 is going to give him the bumper if he can get to him, I promise you.
Sargent is moving in the 51. Hill has the lead in the 22. Coming back to the white flag. And he's off the curb again.
He's overshot the corner.
He loses it, and Sargent is off course as well. The 42 of Sergio Pena comes through. Hill trying to recover, but the lead is gone.
Wow. Austin Hill was so worried about Dalton Sargent coming back up there and giving him the bumper that he just overdrove the entire corner.
And now it is Sargent, Pena, Grala, 1, 2, 3, as we get down to the white flag. Coming across the start-finish line now.
Dave, they're going to decide this by who stays on the course here today.
Fastest part of the racetrack. Here comes your leader, Dalton Sargent, in the 51. He's awfully hot getting down there, and he's off course. He's off in the grass. Grala moves through to the lead. Dalton Sargent just gave up the lead in the final lap, and they're spinning behind him. But back to the front. Now Pena, he's gotten around Grala. Sergio Pena in the 42 has the lead of this race.
This Dale Quarterly getting back on the course. We're final lap here. We're coming to the checkers.
Remember, Sergio Pena substituting for Jay Beasley, who has been out sick for the last couple of races. Can Pena take it to victory for his friend? He's coming to the checkers this time.
Just stay on course here, Sergio. Don't do what everybody else has been doing. Don't overdrive the corners.
But Kaz Grala in the 3 car is hungry, and he's got a couple of corners left to do it, Frank.
Oh, and he's going to try to give him the bumper. He gave him the bumper. Can't get it. Can't give it enough to him.
Pena recovers. He's still got the lead in that white 42.
This is the corner that Austin Hill, the downhiller up here. This is an important corner.
And Grala blows that corner. Pena now has a few car length lead over Grala. Pena, who started the season hopeful that he'd have a full-time ride, had to give it up after just 1 race. He's come back to substitute for his friend Jay Beasley and take this Rev Racing machine to victory lane if he can. Just a couple of quarters left for Sergio.
Boy, both these guys are giving it everything they've got right here.
Sergio Pena now exits the final corner down to the finish line. Sergio Pena will win at Virginia International Raceway. Unbelievable, Frank.
What a dramatic last 5 laps of this race day. We've had every lead change you can imagine right here, and it was just the last man standing, Sergio Pena.
And look at Grala pulling up next to him. He appreciates what just happened. He could have dumped him. He gave him a little tap, tried to get by, but then couldn't get back close to the 42 car. We see championship leader Byron, who had contact from Kaz Grala, coming back on track. That right front tire, Frank, is now gone completely. and he doesn't make it back to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that's not great, you know, for him in the points implication here. He was going to have an opportunity to really extend his lead. This is going to keep it a little bit closer.
We are worn out. What a finish at Virginia International. We'll talk to the winner when we come back. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. And we have seen fast cars here today at Virginia International. What a finish to today's 55-lapper on this 2.25-mile road course in the heart of Virginia. Sergio Pena, the winner, Frank, and here's how he did it.
He got a lot of help from his friends, Dave. Austin Hill's leading the race. He goes off the course. Dalton Sargent overshoots turn 1. He goes off the course. Kaz Gralla overshoots after taking the lead, and Sergio Pena puts the move back on him down the start-finish line.
Sergio Pena started the year in a temporary ride, didn't have anything full-time. His friend Jay Beasley was taken ill. He's been in the car for the last 2 races, and Derek has caught up with him in victory lane.
Super sub Sergio Pena does it again. He wins here at the Virginia International Raceway, a road course specialist. He started his career out racing Formula cars. Come on over here, driving for Jay Beasley, who's on the injured reserve list, who's sick. What about it, Sergio? You pulled out a great win today here at the Virginia International Raceway. Can you tell us about that last lap? Because everything went haywire.
Well, oh my gosh. Last couple laps, you know, those couple restarts were crazy. You knew getting into turn 1 was going to be a mess. You know, knew everyone was going to be going all over the place, and tried to play it safe, but tried to play a little aggressive at the same time. First of all, I wish Jay was in this thing. You know, he deserves it. I hope he gets better, Jay. This one's for you. Man, this is just unbelievable. I have to thank Rev Racing so much for this opportunity. This is just, I don't even know what to say right now. This is just crazy.
What do you think that this will do to help you find a ride for you for next year? Will this increase your chances?
You know, this year's been tough, not having a full deal, and I've been doing some driving instructing up at Summit Point for a military agency, you know, training some military guys and some government guys. So that's been keeping me sharp, I guess. It showed today, but again, I got to thank Rev Racing and all of them. Hopefully this will give me a shot in something at the next level. You know, I've been here for about 5 years now, and I'm ready to make that next jump. So it's just unbelievable, man. What a feeling.
Sergio Pena shows he's got what it takes to win in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series and move up to the higher levels of racing.
Derek, and I love that the team kept Jay Beasley's name above the door there to honor him. What a great day, though, for the guy behind the wheel, Sergio Pena.
Yeah, absolutely. And David Garbo Jr. out of Connecticut, young racer in 3rd. J.J. Haley, another top 5 finish for him. That's 6 on the season.
You see the 11th through 18th place drivers, and down there, Scott Heckert in the 34 in 15th. He lost a little bit of ground today to championship leader William Byron. Back down to Derek.
Where you can see all of the damage to the front end of the number 3 car. Kaz Gralla was in the thick of the battle out there. And can you tell us about that last lap? It looked like nobody wanted to win this race.
Oh man, it was crazy. On the second to last lap, the 42 car, Sergio knocked me out of the way a little bit, put me off the road. So I was trying as hard as I could to get back to his bumper, to try to see if I could get a little piece of him to get that position back. And I made it to him on the last lap, and it was for the win. Unfortunately, I tried to get him just a corner too early, ended up locking up the brakes. Finished the race probably about a half a car length back from him. It was, you know, it hurts being that close to the win, but that was just a lot of fun. Probably the most intense race I've ever been in. I made a mistake early on and ended up falling all the way back to last place while trying to make it to the lead in that corner. So I think it would have been better had I not made that mistake, but you never know how the race is going to play out with that. All in all, I got to thank the Ben Kennedy Racing guys led by Mike Fritz. They put together a really fast number 3 Key-Close Camry for me, and this has been an amazing points day, so I'm pumped up.
Here's a look at the points as they stand right now. William Byron, as disappointed as he might be with 10th, he actually gained 3 points over second place Scott Heckert.
Yeah, he did, but he gave up points to Austin Hill. Austin Hill finished 6th, and he's actually only 23 points back now. He was 28 back.
Let's hear what the championship leader has to say about it.
Well, the 22 of Austin Hill and the number 51 of Dalton Sargent both declined interviews. They're not too happy right now, but we were able to get a word with William Byron. Can you tell us what happened on that last lap?
Yeah, it's crazy last 4 or 5 laps, but I'm really proud of the heart that my team showed today. We went from the back to the front to the back again and then to 3rd on that last restart, and we're in position for a good finish. unfortunately, other people had issues too, and we had issues. We got hooked on the last lap coming out of the last turn, but it was wild. 3-car kind of came up through the grass again onto the track, and that bent our nose, but it was all good. Just really proud of this team, and even though the result doesn't show it, we showed a lot of effort today.
Well, Dave, like we said at the top of the show, this is one of those wild card events where anything can happen.
Derek, thanks. So unpredictable on the road courses, but Frank, so fun to watch as a viewer.
Well, I don't think any of us knew it was going to be this wild of a wild card weekend here in Virginia, that's for sure.
K&N Pro Series next is at Meridian, Idaho. That's the West Series, and you can see that on September 10th, 7:30 Eastern on NBCSN. Well, we've sure enjoyed it today. A beautiful afternoon for the drivers who started this race, but not so beautiful as they got off course. They were spinning early, they were spinning often. Rico Abreu with trouble in his 98 car. Scott Heckert in the 34. He led most of the way, but couldn't keep it together until the end of the race. The final laps were outstanding. Drivers trying so hard to get to victory lane, but in the end, it was Sergio Pena driving the 42 car for his friend Jay Beasley, who took the checkered flag. For Derek Pernasiglio and Frank Stoudert, I'm Dave Burns saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for K&N Pro Series East.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.